Okay, so let me just put this phone here as I get ready to bicycle around. Okay, let me just get my pants in order. I'm about to go bike. Okay, so I asked my dream a question last night. I was reading this book a while back on dream incubation, which I didn't think much of the book. I thought it was a lot of interesting concepts, but felt like it could all be put into like a 3 or 4 page PDF rather than the whole book. So I gave the book away, but now I kind of regret not making notes on it. So anyway, so I asked my dream last night, what is the root or source of my AGP? And so I told myself I'd write down my dreams, but I was so lazy. I've not gotten in the habit of writing my dreams down simply because I don't like the act of penmanship. I just don't like writing. So I think I'll have to keep I'll have to record it on my phone or get a separate voice recorder because I just simply don't like writing. That's the truth of it. Anyway, car coming here. Right, so I asked, what is the source of my AGP? And I got, well, actually, I had a pretty clear dream when I woke up around 1 or 2, I can't remember. And I sat with it, but then I didn't write it down, and now it's kind of faded from me. But in the morning, I got a dream. Again, I didn't write it down. I sat with it and sort of explored the nooks and crannies of it, remembering it just in my bed. And now it's also the details have kind of faded again. But there was this theme of like I was being probed why I wasn't into history and like why I wasn't into certain things that I should be into, and it was this. I think I extracted what I needed to from the dream, and it was the concept of belittlement. I was being belittled for not fitting a certain requirement, let's say. So that was the answer to my question, is my interpretation. Of course, this is unique, and I guess I should have added a disclaimer at the beginning. Actually, this was just supposed to be a voice note, and maybe still is. But if I do end up posting this as a video, I do want to say in advance that, this is my own personal life experience and my own personal interpretation of my own personal dreams and my own lived life and my own relationship to AGP, autogynephilia. So yeah, this isn't like a answer for people and their autogynephilia. This is an exploration of myself. That's the disclaimer, that if I am going to post this, maybe I'll edit it and put it near the beginning. Oh, big truck's about to come. There's going to be probably a lot of noise. Oh, it's stopping. Okay, so I'm just going to wait. Okay, I feel like the beeping is far enough that I can continue now. Yeah, so belittlement was essentially the answer I got from the question of what is the root of my AGP. Okay, so then I sat with that concept a little bit, and that's why I'm recording this, so I don't forget what I sat with, because I did get to doing a bunch of other things this morning before I actually got to recording this. So I really should have recorded it immediately, these thoughts. But hopefully I sat with it long enough in the morning that it gave me the, it's still in me. So here's the thing: is belittlement the source of my AGP? It's basically, I feel like the dream gave me a prompt to explore. Which I don't want to go into Main Street yet because I just don't. It would be very. Damn, I freaking hate this city. I'm in the city now. Okay, so belittlement as a source of my AGP. I don't know in my early memories if I was belittled by my parents. I would not be surprised because there is a lot of shame and guilt I'm shedding from their psyche that they've imprinted onto me. So obviously belittlement is a big part of it. Recently, past couple years, I've been in and out of this farm space where I work and exchange and live on the farm. and there was the farm owner there has these narcissistic traits and has this charisma about him, but belittles you if you don't know. He's really into, he's like this history trivia guy, like, yeah, so he loves history of like the space that we're in and just general, like all this accrued knowledge of the world through books and paper and writings. And it's quite respectable, and I admire it, but if you don't know some information, he simply goes, oh, you don't know this and that, or that and this. He's an older man, so he's playing an older man. And it's like, how could you not? Like, it's like, how can you go your whole life not? And it's a belittling feeling. He's belittling me and others. He does this to other people too, for not knowing about some war or some treaty or some, like, stuff like that. And maybe to some degree he's like just frustrated with, but it doesn't matter. He belittles people for their lack of knowledge of what he deems important. Because the thing, and I try to explain this to him, because I kind of push back against his belittlement, because I think it triggers me, which means if it triggers me, I was belittled as a kid. And yeah, my parents for sure belittled me in many ways. I haven't really been note-taking or creating a journal of it. Yeah, so then, okay, so that's just an example of the feeling, which, again, if I was so triggered by it, and I'm pushing back now, because I've done like years and years and years now inner work. I'd say it started around the age of 25 I was always a reflective and inward and ruminating and reflective child. But now I feel like it was a very not like very just like, oh, poor me, and now I'm just like, I still have the oh, poor me attitude. But anyway, point is, I think I'm diving into a different topic here. Let's go with the topic of belittlement. Yeah, I'm pretty sure, pretty much without a doubt, I was belittled by my parents, and possibly belittled by other people in school scenarios and all this stuff. I never felt I got bullied or anything, but for sure, like, I probably at least felt belittled by other people. So, to explore that topic in relation to autogynephilia, if I'm being belittled, it's you're being made to feel small. I'm also quite small in stature, so I was physically small, though I never really thought much of it as a kid. I really wasn't like, oh, I'm such a small kid. I was like, a reflection I never had until maybe high school. I was always the smallest kid in the class. Like, from the beginning, I was always the smallest kid. There was never any delayed growth. Like, I had hardly had a growth spurt, and I just kind of grew gradually. Yeah, so to my theory, I feel like I'm gonna have to refine this. I'm gonna have to refine this a lot, because it's way too rambly. And I think there's too many voices here. I might need to go to like a more secluded park. I don't know how the voices are bleeding into the audio. Yeah, so in the process of being belittled, I shrank. You shrink in that process, and you shrink. And the goal is, and this actually leads into something else. So you shrink, but you can't shrink to nothing. And humans, and especially children, they're pretty powerful beings. And I was a child, and I had the power of a child, and again, the power of imagination, and children are powerful, and you should like never belittle a child. Like, it's almost, that should be like a crime against humanity. I mean, to some degree, it is, child abuse and stuff like that, but this slips under the radar to sort of put down a kid. It's like you can't physically abuse a child, but there's this subtle realms. So as a child, being belittled, I don't want to say this, it's like, I think I had like a higher level of conscientiousness than the average kid. And I'm literally not saying that as a brag or anything. It's actually a bit of a detriment. I wish I was more just like living through life, and rather than being so reflective as a child. But maybe it came from the belittlement. I was put into this state where I was the opposite of being expansive. I was pushed inward into my own realms. And so then now I'm seeing that, for example, my dad, and when they would watch movies where basically like drag queens or the gay community or any like atypical person represented in media, especially in the 90s, was the butt of a joke. like a cross-dresser or whatever. They were ridiculed, they were belittled. I may have seen kinship in this belittlement, and then develop this type of weird being like, oh, this person is like me. They're doing something that is, they're enjoying, they're living their life, and then they're belittled for it, and they shrink. So then I develop a kinship. And then in terms of cartoons and stuff, if you think of like cross-dressing and like Bugs Bunny, and even like there was this cartoon called The Three Caballeros where I believe they cross-dressed at some point. And the act of those characters cross-dressing was to, by different means, also non-violent means, overpower their oppressor. So that might have sparked something in me to be like, this shift into this feminine power to hypnotize or sedate or disarm the person doing the belittlement was actually the trigger, something that triggered perhaps autogynephilia. This might not be true. I still don't know if it's innate, like I was just born with the desire to be feminine. But I don't want to underplay the significance. There's the concept of nature versus nurture, and I don't want to underplay either of them. There is the possibility that I have a predisposition to want to embody the feminine. There is this picture of me, I think at the age of 2 or 3, I can't remember. I have to ask how old I was. And I was wearing my mom's heels. So who knows? Because that's the thing when it comes to like what I said about like cross-dressing in, like, say, live action movies. I wasn't really watching live action movies until I was like a bit older, like let's say 5 or 6 or whatever, maybe even 6. So this picture was well before that. So it doesn't stand that as a test with my concept of developing kinship with the queer representation in 90s movies. But the cartoons are pretty early on. I was watching those pretty early on, so that's the thing. And then, I don't know, can you be belittled by the age of 2? Like, is that even possible? I mean, I guess you could. I guess, yeah, of course. I've actually seen it, like, small children doing things, and then the way the parents react instead of, even, it's always nice to give a reason if it's like, oh, no, you can't do that because, like, it has a different tone. Like, even if a child can't understand English, be like, no, don't do that, or no, you can't put that in your mouth, or whatever, because blah, 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 you choke on it, or whatever kids are doing, they put everything in their mouth. So yeah, that's the answer I got from my dream. I'm still new to doing dream work, and I have a lot to dive in. So this is just an exploration of a prompt I got. I don't think it's the answer per se, the root of my AGP, but I think it's a factor that is worth looking at, and that's why I recorded this. So in regards to that picture of me wearing my mom's heels, I must have perceived something symbolic about, perceiving my dad and my mom, and my mom always wearing heels. She was also really into, she had like at that time she had like maybe a collection of a couple shoes, and it was kind of, shoes were like her expression, I guess, actually, because she really fucking loves shoes. And I guess, her sort of expression in this world has always been like fashion, and so shoes were important. And again, who knows? Like I said, I feel like I did have a higher level of conscientiousness from a very, very early age. So perhaps I perceived something even before I could kind of fully speak, or I guess I don't know when kids start to speak. I was obviously able to walk, because I like put the shoes on and started walking around the house with them. Yeah, and I guess it was an item of expression of a type of power that, I guess when my mom put them on, she felt more powerful, and they made her taller, of course, and, the whole thing with There's a garbage truck here. Yeah, I'm gonna have to record this whole thing again. But I'll leave it at this. I get really annoyed by sounds when I record this stuff. I'm gonna listen back to this. If this is like okay to post, I'm gonna post it. If not, I'm gonna re-record it somewhere quiet. I am not so bothered by sounds so much, but when it's, when I'm recording something, I'm really fixated on having, I'm not like fixated on having like this perfect, like the perfect audio and stuff, but when it's distractions like this, okay, I'm getting carried away in my own annoyances here. Okay, that's it.